kind of in June, kind of in July. We generally try to do it like first half of the month, second half of the month, but things have gotten a little bit wonky with summer schedules, so we're just trying to like cram as much in there as we can. So we might have a couple of weeks where we're have a little bit of a longer break in between the episodes. But anyways, this is covering Kickstarters are live right now anyway. I'm Joe. I make stuff like this, board games and tabletop products. That's what I do for a job.
Hello, humanoids. I'm Hannah, also known as Halfling Hannah, and I'm a forever DM and a DM resource creator on YouTube, Patreon, and my website, halflinghobbies.com.
Hello, I am Alex, a designer and marketer for The Wanderer's Guide, and I'm an everyday TTRPG player and gamer.
And together, Joe has something to say.
Well, I didn't even this just occurred to me. I work in product like board game and tabletop manufacturing and production. Alex is a professional graphic designer, and Hannah, you are a RPG content creator.
Yep.
I was like, oh, I never even realized that like the three of us actually do have like a really good like base of knowledge.
Yeah.
For, like,
we have. That's why this show is great. We have three different perspectives.
Like it just all of a sudden clicked in my mind.
Just wait.
Oh, wait a minute! Like it actually
this is good.
Well, because I've always thought about it from a standpoint of like, oh, we're just three people that like RPGs, and this was a fun idea, and we ran a Kickstarter, and we wish there was more shows like this, so we decided to start one because we're kind of always talking about this and looking at these anyway, so why not record it and share it? But now I'm like, oh, it actually makes a lot of sense that the three of us are actually looking at this because we have different knowledge bases of different things when it comes to this.
Absolutely correct, which is why the three of us our roll for review. This is a live stream where the three of us, kind of a forced segue, but whatever, the three of us collect TTRPG related Kickstarters and other platforms now, like Joe collects maps, all the maps. And we have gathered all the TTRPG related Kickstarter campaigns during this period, and each of us has chosen our three favorites, and there were a lot this time because we did have a little bit longer break because I was on vacation. I'm sorry.
How dare you?
I know. How dare I go to California? But we have chosen our top three favorites, and we are going to present these to you and tell you why we picked them out of the slew of Kickstarters that we could have chosen. These are unique in some way. They really caught our attention, and we're going to tell you why, and also maybe give some ways that if you are looking to do a Kickstarter yourself, here is our advice, because we look at a lot of Kickstarters, and this is free advice for you. Take it for what it is from us. And once we have reviewed that and talked about it and discussed it, we're going to give it a roll for review. This is a very arbitrary number from 1 to 20, like a 20-sided dice when you're playing an RPG game. And this is based on what we feel that this Kickstarter rates. Not overall, not in all of our Kickstarters, just arbitrarily, because it's fun and we like it.
Absolutely. And links for all of these projects will be in the description, and then after the video is uploaded, we will timestamp them as well, just in case you miss out on any. And if we look extra crisp today, it's because we've upgraded to 1080p 60 frames per second, and I'm very happy about that as the person who's running the technical side. I was bragging about it earlier. I'm really excited. All right.
So, man, I guess I'm up with the very first project.
Yes, you are, sir.
Also, just in case anyone is watching this, in a given month,
I hope someone is.
Yes, we get decent number of views, but in a given month, just so, for people to understand, we look at the 150, I'd say on average, Kickstarter projects that launch in a given month, right? And out of that, we're picking, if we do 2 shows, we're picking 18 projects that we talk about in total out of like 150. So there's tons of stuff over on Kickstarter that we just don't have the time or the ability to talk about that's really great. And sometimes I'm like, really like, oh man, I'd love to talk about more than just, 3 projects an episode. But we're just kind of choosing the 3 that are to our taste, what we think are the best. So with that being said, my very first project is Heroes of Tara Player's Guide. So this is an adaptation of 5th edition D&D based entirely on Irish mythology,
Oh yeah.
character creation, and gameplay in the setting of Eru. And I watched the video, so I knew how to pronounce that correctly. That is Eru, because yeah, it is really, really difficult to pronounce a lot of Irish words if you don't have a baseline for like Irish pronunciation. What's there's always that like one Irish word where it's like SIB, something like that, and it's pronounced really weirdly. Anyways, I'm sorry.
Sure is.
Saoirse Ronan, right? Like her name.
Oh,
like,
yeah, okay.
When you look at her name, you're like, what on
That
earth?
would
Like
not-
Irish
yeah.
names can oftentimes have that thing where it's like, oh, my name's Sean, and it's like all of these letters that you would not expect to be in the word Sean, right?
Yeah.
Yes.
But so right now, this is the very first project that's been created by Jacob Durkinson. All right.
Dirksen?
What's that?
Dirksen? Dirksen?
Yeah, whatever. Close enough. Close enough. Have an easier to pronounce last name, and I'll do a better job. But yeah, Jacob. He didn't say his name in the video, so I don't know how to pronounce that. I didn't get a pronunciation guide. Jacob. This is his very first project, and he has 627 backers as of right now, with $25,000 raised. So good job,
Woo-hoo.
Jacob. But what I wanted to talk about is a little bit about this project because I thought it was very interesting. The reason I actually picked this project is because I back an astronomical number of RPG products on Kickstarter. So my social media feed is literally nothing but like all of the people like throwing ads directly at me. Because like the groups that I'm a member of, the amount of stuff that I'm searching on Google, all of that stuff, they're just like, put as many ads in front of this guy.
Like this guy.
Yeah,
He's the
buy
demographic.
anything.
He
He's not
follows
buying
the
anything.
algorithm.
Yeah, like
Yeah.
I am the algorithm catch-all, right? So
Mhm.
I've actually been seeing for months advertisements for this Heroes of Tara, and I really liked it because this cover image that they have kind of on the video with the raven standing on top of the big rock and everything like that, just absolutely gorgeous, absolutely beautiful. And so I kind of like earmarked this for when it went live. Like when this one goes live, I really want to check it out. I want to put some extra eyes on it just so I can know what it is because it does look interesting. And after looking at it, I was like, yeah, I want to talk about this on the show. So like we said, it's an Irish-based campaign setting in which you are playing in this world that's been created all based out of Irish mythology. There are not elves and dwarves and orcs like there are in other types of RPGs. Instead, there are going to be new clans that you can play with, okay? So you have these 3 tribes and that are in place of the traditional races. So again, I tried my best to figure out the pronunciation. There is the Aishe, the Furbold, and the Gale. Okay, these are like the different types of tribes that you can choose from, that your characters can come from. The world is all steeped in this Irish mythology. There are new classes, everything to basically take like a 5e type of game and say, okay, but we're playing in this very specific Irish mythology setting. Now, they don't go into a whole lot of detail on the Kickstarter page about all of the ins and outs about that, but you can open up their demo PDF, which is over 100 pages long.
Demo PDF.
Yeah, I opened it up too.
Hey,
It's
at
like,
least
oh,
you
dang.
know the work has been put in. It's kind of sometimes a little. You ask a question when you open up that demo PDF and it's like 5 pages and you're like, I don't know.
It is a demo, I guess. I don't.
Yeah, but when you open
It's
it
a
up and
book.
they already have over 100 pages and they still have yet to include formatting and art and all of the other stuff that they're going to do with the money that they raise from the Kickstarter, it makes you feel good that you're actually going to get the content that's being promised to you in the Kickstarter page. One thing I will say is,
239 pages.
Yeah,
the way.
there's not too much art on the book yet, but the art that they do show, so I talked about the cover image, but most of the other art that you see in the video and you see on the Kickstarter page is this really cool like wood block cut artwork.
Yeah.
And I don't know if you've ever seen these types of pieces, but like it's like a block of wood and the picture is like carved into it in the negative space. Beautiful stuff. I actually really like it. I find it very evocative. It reminds me a little bit, Hannah, of the Beowulf project that you covered.
It does. It does look a little like that. Yeah.
Yep.
It kind of has that like similar like ancient mythology vibes to it.
Yep.
Really liked it. Here's the thing. This is a world setting. This is a campaign setting. This has a very limited amount of stuff. The monsters that you're fighting, the things that you can do, all of the stuff in here, it feels very small, if that makes sense. So when you play Dungeons and Dragons 5th edition, you just have the entirety of the world at your fingertips and can create anything as vast as you want to, right? With this, it feels like a much smaller scope. It feels like you're kind of shrinking the box that you're playing in down to a very low level. And so what I always try to think of myself is, if I'm playing in a much more condensed thing, like there's less things for me to interact with, there's less encounters for me to have, I have a more very defined world and set of rules that I'm playing with, which is not as broad as the depth of just kind of the, you know, more traditional D&D style of playing. So it makes me ask, how much campaign can I get out of this setting, right? And I don't know that I could play more than like 20, 25 sessions, right, in this setting without like kind of running a campaign to its course or starting to reuse a lot of the stuff that I have, right? If everything that you're encountering is a monster or a human and you don't have a lot more variety than that in your campaign setting, it might get a little staler, a little bit fast. But if you are a huge fan of this Irish mythology, if this is something that kind of evokes those feelings in you that you say, this is really interesting, what I think would be cool is to take this book and take some of the core ideas and concepts and build it as maybe a separate place in your homebrew world, to kind of like take this setting and create this more like other realm that you have, not necessarily like another plane of existence, but like, oh, you travel to this distant land and this is where you're playing in the Heroes of Tara and can use a lot of
part of your larger story. Yeah,
I somewhat disagree, but I'll let you finish and then I'll give my defense.
I'm pretty much done. I love the idea. I love how much work has gone into the research of the mythology and making sure that they're being as accurate as possible while putting together this campaign setting. I really think it's beautifully done. I think that they've put a lot of effort in early up. The page is easy to navigate. The cost is really good. In fact, I think I saw right here, there was a graphic that kind of gave me the cost breakdown. But basically, we'll talk about the cost in a second, but I wanted to get your guys' thoughts and ideas. What do you think about the Heroes of Tara?
I don't think, in my opinion, I don't think that a smaller world means that you have less content. I actually think that it's just a different style of play. Because smaller worlds can be incredibly more detailed and rich. When you only have this amount of things to interact with, it becomes incredibly important what's in those things, and you interact with them much more than simply trying to see everything and bouncing around everywhere. It's a micro narrative, which there are huge books. Ulysses was written literally about one dude in one particular place, and it's incredibly long. I don't think that smaller means bad, and in this case, I think that this could actually be incredibly satisfying for someone who is overwhelmed by too many options. This is this world, this is the mythology that you have. You don't have to try and juggle a whole bunch of different things, and you get to tell an incredibly intricate and detailed story that you otherwise wouldn't get to. Also, Irish literature has a ton of stories in it, and all of them are kind of centered around the same thing. So I think you can get a lot of stories out of this one setting and never feel like you're really missing anything, in my opinion.
But even if you are playing the same characters for, let's say, 2 years in the same setting.
First of all, I would applaud anyone who does that. second of all, yeah, I think you could, because this, with the clans and the way that the clans interact with each other, and the way that you can bring in some of the more fanciful, like, parts of Irish culture, I think you have a romantic fantasy on your hands if you wanted to play it like that. If you just want to dungeon crawl and go slay all the beasts, yeah, it may only take you 25 sessions to kill everything magical within this world. But if you're doing more of that romantic fantasy, politics, positioning between clans, clan wars, that's gonna, I mean, there's a lot of content there that you could do.
Sure, yeah. I just kind of looked at it as like the scope being much smaller, which is again something that is different from what
like it.
most
Yeah.
I like
people are
microscopes.
used to, right?
Yeah.
Like most people are used to things on a more epic level scale. So, anyways, it's a bit of a different thing.
What I want to say is that we've touched on a couple different campaigns that kind of highlight different mythologies or different cultures and things like that. And that's what I really like about projects like these, is when you see them that kind of touches on types of mythology that normally you wouldn't really focus around in these types of things. You're going to see a lot of Greek gods. It's almost like a popularity type. You have like the Cthulhu. You have like all these different types of mythologies that are pretty standard, right? Anytime I see one that, I'm going to be honest, I don't really know much, if anything at all, about Irish mythology. And that alone is enough to where it provides a little bit of an educational standpoint to where you're learning a little bit more about Irish mythology. And it's also just sounds super interesting because I don't have this expected narrative in my head. I've learned so much. They teach a lot about Greek mythology. Like I mentioned, in my schooling, we learned a ton about that. So I have this preconceived notion of what that's already going to be. But with this, I'm kind of going into it completely fresh and going, wow, I didn't know this about so-and-so in this story. So I really like these kinds of projects because it not only is, it's different, but also you're learning something new that you might not have known before. So big fan of that, and they're clearly doing something really well for a page that is, to be very honest, very simple. Doesn't really highlight a ton. A lot is in the words, and proof is in the pudding of their 240-page demo PDF. But it clearly is doing something right, and they're doing a great job.
Yeah.
And it comes with an Irish pronunciation guide.
That's super
there you
helpful.
go.
Is his name on it?
We'll see. Real quick, cost on this. If you want just the PDF, it's $30 for the PDF. And if you want to get the hard cover, that's going to cost you $35. Okay? So it's a small jump, but I also just wanted to let you know that this is being printed through Drive-Thru RPG, which sometimes means that you get like the code to like print it at a discount. So you might be paying $35 now, and then like whatever the remaining cost is to Drive-Thru RPG a little bit later, which sometimes is like $10-15, right? So the book might end up costing $50. I can't speak specifically. I know I've backed a few of these projects, and it's always like I pay on Kickstarter, and then I have to pay again on Drive-Thru RPG to get my book, which is like, if you forget about it, sometimes annoying, right?
Yeah.
But I'm seeing more and more smaller startup Kickstarters like this use this
Go through that,
especially first times.
Yeah, so it's a good way to go. It's really safe.
Yeah, you shouldn't be weirded out by that if you haven't seen
that before.
It's
getting pretty
and
standard
you're like,
with
what?
a lot of these.
It's pretty standard for small things
So
anymore.
if you're backing this at $35, just budget that you're probably going to spend another $10 or so down the line, just to be safe. But yeah, that's still pretty decent price there, structure for what you're going to get. And again, if you feel like this is something that's interesting to check out, $30 for a PDF is a good deal for as much content as going to be in the book.
Or start reading the 240-page demo.
Yeah, exactly.
There's a lot there. It's just words.
Well,
a lot of words.
In fact, why do you even need to back this? Just download
just
that
download the demo.
Just pirate.
Don't do that. No. No.
That
Yeah.
was a joke.
So will you roll it?
Heroes of Tara, Player's Guide. I've got to say, I was going back and forth on it. I'm going to roll a 14, but I am going to give it a +1 because I love that they went with this really cool mythology woodblock cut artwork. I like that they didn't just be like, oh, I want to draw a bunch of Irish, stuff and put in the book. They thought through, like, how do I want this book to look? And to me, that was a really cool and special design element that I really appreciated. So I'm gonna give them a +1 for that. So total score is gonna be 15 for Heroes of Tara.
Great.
Very cool. Cool project. I love it. Okay, guys. You know that I don't do solo RPGs, right? We've talked about this.
Yeah.
Not a fan. My first project of tonight is a solo RPG. I know, right?
Ta-da.
It is called Dwelling, a solo game for ghosts.
Too scary for me. I'm out.
I almost picked this one too. I
there's
like this
something
one.
for you. I like this one a lot. And here's what got me. So normally solo RPG games are like just a journaling experience. They give you something to think about and you journal about it. Or alternatively, you have very limited options and it's like one of those old school pick your adventure kind of books where you've got 3 different endings and that's all you got. And I'm like, I'm not into any of that. That's not very cool. This one, they have taken a really unique approach to making this super interactive. So let's look at this. So first of all, they've already hit their goal. So this is going to happen. So if you find this interesting, you can back confidently that this is going to happen. Yeah. They're at over $8,000 from their 5,000. That was their goal.
Congrats.
247 backers. I mean, this is good. And the art. Can we just appreciate
I love the art.
This art real quick? I love it. Okay. So here's what this is. This is a solo RPG where it's a narrative-driven horror game for one about a sleepless night spent wandering an old house and encountering the spirits within. So throughout this book, and I love the GIF that they have here, excellent use of a GIF. You can see the way that this is kind of set up. So what you do is you read the narrative on the page, and each page is a different room of this house. You read the narrative, and then you add to it by sketching what is in the room, the feelings that it evokes from your own experience, from your own memories of times when you felt something similar. So you are contributing into the book what the actual encounter is. Ooh. Which makes this book completely different for everyone that uses it because everyone has different experiences, memories, and emotions and things like that. So this story, as you go through it, you are changing the story and the story is kind of affecting you and you are the narrator of this story. So you're putting yourself as the person who's spending the night in this place.
Wow. That's really interesting.
It's very interesting and very intriguing, and I like it very much. So if you go down, Joe, you said this was too scary for you?
Too scary.
This is something super cool. They have companion safety tools. So if you look at this little bookmark, it looks like a little latch, right? Mm-hmm. And what this is that first of all, it's a bookmark that you can bookmark your place, but it's a lock so that mentally you can lock away what is happening in the book, which I absolutely
keep
love
away the demons.
Exactly. Well, I was one of those kids where if a book was upsetting me, I would put it in the freezer because as long as it was in the freezer, it couldn't get to me.
Wait. I don't think there's a one of those kids section of that. I don't think there's a group of.
No, I never forget in middle school when I was reading Little Women and spoiler alert, Beth dies and I couldn't take it, so I put the book in the freezer and then my dad found it in there. He's like, what? It hurt me, Dad. Yeah, if it was in the freezer, that was okay. And it's like one of those mental tricks like this. You can lock it away. Also, you can experience the room through the keyhole as if you're not actually going into the room.
I do like that interactive.
If it's too scary, then you can kind of look at it through the keyhole as if you're not actually in the room. And I don't know why I find that really adorable.
That is very cute. I like that.
It does kind of help me out a little bit there. But this also can be as dark and scary or as lighthearted as you want because you are the one contributing to the experience and what is in each one of the rooms. So they also have a little guide card in there about enjoyable, neutral, not enjoyable. Those are the levels that you can do here. And so if you go down, I don't know where you're at on that, but the example of gameplay.
Yep.
So you have this room, and then you actually interact and sketch what it is that you see in the room based on what the narrative has told you.
Gotcha. So I see somebody sketched. We see somebody sketched a little like tentacle shadow thing behind the chair.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay.
Yeah. So that's dwelling. That's how you participate in the game. What do you guys think?
I think this is really cool. It reminds me of the game we played in terms of coming up with it and kind of putting your own thoughts into it. We did Orbital. And that was obviously as a group, but as a group, and if you haven't seen that yet, we played through the whole entirety of Orbital. That is also on our channel. Check that out a few videos back. That was a great time. But we got to kind of build the space station together. This one's kind of like you're building it yourself and kind of adding your own type of thing into it, which is really, really interesting. One thing I do want, it's kind of like a negative but a positive, is I want more art on this page. I'm gonna be honest.
Yeah.
Like there are so many.
You never
like
have too much.
you can never, especially with this. I think they could have used them a little bit more to kind of highlight sections. They have some great gifts here, and I think they describe how to play really well. But using some of that branding and some of that art as part of your theme, you're entering your shop, right? You want this to be the dwelling shop. Would you walk into a plain shop and just have some books on the shelf and that's it, or would you decorate that shop to match what's being kept inside it? So I think definitely highlighting a little bit more art, but I think this is super interesting. I think it's got a lot of character, and that's, again, why I think the page doesn't reflect a lot of the character of this really cool project. So, again, it's a negative, but also a very positive because you have a great, really creative concept and book here.
It's a really cool setup. Joe, what do you think?
I mean, I backed it while you were talking about it.
Oh, there you go. That's all you need to say.
No, it sounds really cool. It sounds really unique, and I think projects that are really cool and unique like this deserve to be on Kickstarter and deserve to be highlighted.
100%. And really, honest to goodness, I do not like solo RPGs, but I love this concept because the setup and the way that they use the page itself to like let you interact with the story is so unique, and I absolutely love it. So if you want a digital edition, say you like to draw digitally and then you want to delete everything, maybe go back through and do it again, you can do that for just $12.
Just $12.
Just $12. Not even payments of, just $12. You can do that. And if you want your physical copy, it's going to be $28. It's $28.
That's a
and you're going to get it in September. It's pretty great.
Oh, September too. So it's pretty quick. They're pretty. So this is
ready to go.
Yeah, they're ready to go.
And I love this because we've talked about this before on Kickstarters that didn't do this, but the digital editions are included when you purchase the physical ones. I like that.
Yeah.
I like that
because it's just added value that doesn't really cost them anything to do. You immediately get the digital one, and then your physical one is on the way.
Great.
And then past that's just like deluxe stuff, which we don't usually worry about. I say the best value would be that $28.
Unless there's some crazy stuff.
Crazy stuff, but
an actual ghost is sent to you.
Oh God, no!
You'll be haunted. So what would you roll this, Hannah?
Yeah, I love this project. I am giving it a 15 roll plus 2 for the interactiveness of it and the originality that we have not seen before. So this is going to be what's math? 17 total.
So I do want to say before I go into my first pick, I've gotten into the habit of, because I type in the rankings kind of as we talk about it, and then I have it pop up on screen. I've gotten into the habit of pre-guessing what you guys are going to choose. And I just want to say, I think I missed maybe 1 or 2 last one, and I've missed none so far.
Hey!
I've gotten them exactly on the money. So I think I know your guys' rankings, and I'm just proud of it. And I just want to say that.
You should be. That's great.
All right. So
the dwelling.
The first project I am going to talk about is really, really interesting, and I absolutely, first of all, really cool art. Spires and Hildegard. Hildegard. And it has raised $147,000 of the $15,000 goal. Over 3,000 people have backed it, and there are still 22 days to go. This is a really, really, really successful project. It is by Greg Favreau, who previously did, and this is kind of an expansion on this previous Kickstarter, but the previous Kickstarter he did was Spire's End solo and cooperative card game adventure. So this was kind of the base version, and Hildegard is kind of the expansion onto that. And it's what it is. It's kind of an RPG card game adventure, enemy encounters, scenarios, all that kind of stuff. But this one specifically, and he goes into talking about this, it's a really different approach. And he says it specifically in here, and I want to read this out. I've left behind the cold and the darkness of for vibrance and warmth. So essentially changing what he did and going for a new audience and going for a new tone, which is very smart from a brand perspective, and kind of experimenting with new different types there. Calling it card game comfort food, which is, I love that. It still fits snugly into the Spires End world. It's its own standalone adventure played with or without any knowledge of the previous game. So it is standalone. Into 4 chapters, 400 cards. So it's kind of these cards take you throughout the story. And it's got 400 story cards, 25 illustrations per chapter. So it's broken them into chapters, and etched dice, cue markers, a rule book, all this kind of stuff. But the art is absolutely gorgeous. I just want to say that's what first grabbed me. Immediately, I saw this art and absolutely fell in love with it. But the premise is it's young hero Hildegard. On her first assignment as a messenger, she's been tasked with delivering a mysterious package of utmost importance to the coast, but the journey won't be easy. Rumors are rampant about what you're carrying. Along the way, you'll encounter dodgy townsfolk, wildlife critters, irate carnies, natural disasters. You may also enjoy a myriad of outdoor activities, fishing, hiking, hunting, foraging, and maybe a little riverboating. So it's really, really interesting that all of this is packed into this deck of cards, and you can kind of play it as you go. I have a couple of these up on screen here where you're fishing, you're flipping these cards, and kind of these fish are appearing beneath you as you fish. You'll need to have the proper bait, so you choose the correct bait with those cards. And the way they do this is make your decision, move on to the card of the number indicated on the card, and anything that's in between those, you discard all of them. So pretty much, it's almost like a legacy game where you're kind of like, you've chosen this, so you can't go back. So it's almost as a little bit of choose your own adventure too. So it becomes more involved, as you said, as the story progresses. But it's a choose your own adventure book in cards, which is really fun.
Last week, I talked about those graphic novel adventures, and this was another one that I put on the list because it felt RPG adjacent. Like, this is a game that you play by yourself, but it is something that feels so adjacent to playing like a role-playing experience, where you're not like confined by like, move this thing on, these squares on a board and roll these dice and, whatever. Like, that's a board game. This is more of a narrative experience where you're making decisions and having different outcomes. And I felt like because of the art, because of everything, man, I was excited. I backed this as soon as I saw it. Didn't know anything about the game. I just literally scrolled through the page, saw all of the art, saw that you're like making decisions with these cards. And I'm like, I'm in. I don't know what this is going to be, but it'll show up one day and I'll really enjoy it.
Well, you can tell how experienced Greg is, especially in art, as being an art director and graphic and game designer. I mean, it's gorgeous. The layout is beautiful. The art is so beautifully done. Like, even this main image that I'm showing here, that blurring around the outside and having those leaves kind of come, it's just a beautiful little touch that as a art director, like, it's beautiful. And you can tell that is so, I'm just amazed by this beautiful layout of all of these cards and how gorgeous it is.
They also have a YouTube video showing you how to play, which is excellent.
If
you're still confused, you're like, how does this work? They've got a video for you, which is great.
Yeah.
And it's co-op. You can do co-op too.
Yeah, you can do co-op. I'm showing a little bit more of some of the interactions here. There are face-offs where you flip over your card, where you're Hildegard and you're doing, you have your accuracy of your, you'll get different weapons and you're fighting the Scarecrow here, or fighting all the crows. It's just really cool. Hannah, what's your full take on this?
I love it. I love everything about it. I think this is a really cool way to do it. Reminds me a little bit with you go to certain cards and do certain things of Above and Below, which is a game I've gotten really into lately. Love that one. Reminds me a little bit of that, but with less pieces. That's what's beautiful about this to me, is he managed to do this with just cards and some dice. It looks like there's not a whole board, there's not a whole setup, there's not multiple books. It's like, it's simplistic and it's beautiful. Like, I love it.
So this is extremely reminiscent of another game that I absolutely adore called Seventh Continent, which is very similar, where you're just kind of exploring this continent and just trying to like figure stuff out. But that's like much bigger. And I remember the first time I played it, I explored it, and the piece of the continent that I explored took up the entire thing. But it's the same thing where it's like you see a number and you're like, oh, I'm gonna go fishing, right? And so you draw like 6 cards and you pick one randomly and you don't get a fish. Or if you drew a different card, you got some fish and you have some food now. Or oh no, there's a shark and it attacks you. And like it's like this seems like it has that same vibe and feel to it, but more narrative. Seventh Continent is more just like wandering and exploring like this random thing, this continent. This seems more like there's a narrative through line.
Yeah. Very cool.
So
very cool.
And honestly, he did the backing very simply. $40. It's $40.
Oh,
that's it.
Beautiful.
That's it. You back it for $40, and the rest of them are no longer available. You just back it for $40, and there you go.
It's beautiful.
So
simple.
Easy, simple.
I know my options.
So this is what I'm gonna roll this. The base roll here. I love this concept. I love the story. I think this is beautiful. So I'm gonna give this base a 17. I think as a project,
totally
it's
it.
done
100%.
so well. I'm gonna give this a +1 for art. I absolutely love the art. I think it's gorgeous, and I think it suits this whole storyline very well. And I'm going to give it another +1.
Wow.
For incredible layout and overall design. I think it deserves all that, and I think this is a great project to check out. Those were our first 3, guys. So we're going to take a quick break, and we're going to hear from one of our hosts, Hannah, and we'll be right back.
Hello, humanoids. I'm Halfling Hannah, the creator behind Halfling Hobbies. And here at Halfling Hobbies, you are going to find DM resources and only DM resources. We are here for dungeon masters, creating all sorts of things from puzzle templates and downloadable puzzles to DM binder pages, NPCs, loot cards, everything that you could possibly need to help give your game advantage. All of it comes with a healthy serving of food and drink, along with that special halfling hospitality. So grab a mug of ale and a slice of cake, sit back, relax, and dig in to Halfling Hobbies.
Hey everybody, welcome back. We have 3 more projects that we're going to run through real quick, and I am very excited to talk about my next one because it is the very first project that we have ever covered that is not on Kickstarter. This is actually on a different crowdfunding platform. This is on GameFound. So GameFound kind of had a big launch earlier in 2020, kind of like had its like first initial like release, and slowly and steadily they're getting more and more. There is definitely not the breadth of tabletop products on GameFound, and this is actually the very first RPG project that has been funded on GameFound. And so I want to talk about Vast Grimm by Infinite Black. Vast Grimm is a rules-light, infectious sci-fi horror RPG packed with everything you need to immerse yourself in a universe on the brink of collapse. Vast Grimm features 3 new Elder Dice sets with amazing holographic grimoires. So that's kind of the description. They have raised over $100,000, have 1,300 backers, and have 13 days left. So if you head over to GameFound and look for this project, you will find that it's the very first one. And GameFound is laid out very similarly to Kickstarter. Some people say it's better, but you can be the judge of that. But basically, GameFound was created to be a competitor to Kickstarter specifically for board games. So board games and RPG products. So that's all you're going to find over here. You're not going to find clothing and tech and all of the other stuff that honestly I don't care about on Kickstarter. So, but here is, I love this project for so many reasons. But one of the reasons I love it is it says, "What is Vast Grimm?" And they have this graphic that says, "A brutal, infectious, rules light, art heavy sci-fi RPG." And if you like watch the video,
90s, yeah.
if you watch like the video, it's like like there's like just metal playing. There's just like speed metal, just like and it's just like going through like graphics. And it's just like they are trying to overwhelm you. This Kickstarter page is basically has the same effect as a strobe light on your senses. It's
a GameFound page.
What's that?
It's a GameFound page.
If you head over to the GameFound page. But it literally, like, as you scroll through this page, your eyes read it very much like a strobe light. And I think that that's what they're going for. So I just love this because they're basically, the entire thing is like made in memes, right? Like, each miserable day that passes, the universe inches closer to its inevitable demise.
Wow.
This is a game about survival. No matter how gruesome things get, humanity must survive. This is its own system. It is compatible with Morkborg, if you are familiar with that system, which is very much like a heavy metal based RPG system. It's basically like, hey, what if D&D 5e was like made by Iron Maiden? Is kind of like Morkborg. like that's like kind of like the Morkborg idea.
Even the name of it.
I'm not into it. Some people are, but I love.
I was kind of surprised when I saw Morkborg on here. I was like, just not really into that. That's weird. But it makes sense. It's just compatible, but it's
it's not a Morkborg specific project. But I really just loved how this was. So, they wanted to say that this is a very like punk rock art filled like type of project. And if you scroll down to a look in. Well, I'm sorry.
Did you see that you are a machine and it spells out man?
Where does it say that?
It's right after. So right underneath the must survive, you got like paragraph 2. You are a machine.
Man-sheen.
This is a machine.
Wait, they already had an N. Wait, they already had an N in there.
I know, but they skipped that one and went to the other one.
Guys.
They might lose a point for that one. No. But if you go to the look inside the book, I'm gonna use that my day-to-day right now. I'll be like, I'm not a man. I'm a man-sheen. If you go to the inside the book, you're gonna see something that is what really drew me to this project and made me go, all right, I'm into this. Is basically the way that they've created this book is like every page is like super dynamic art, right? You've got like characters with laser shooting
it's
out of
insane.
Your sky, with like word bubbles. You've got gross aliens. You've got these 120 pages of the most amazing content ever created. Like everything.
You know what?
I don't think I can do 120 pages of that.
Everything in this book, everything in this book reads in that voice, right? Like,
yeah.
Like
it's the announcer from Dragon Ball Z. Play Vast Grimm.
So
let's go.
I really, really love
rules.
the stretch into making something that is half art, half RPG. And Alex, you know what this reminds me a little bit of? It reminds me of that zine that me and you both really, really liked called Dying at Hardlight Station.
Yes.
It kind of has that same vibe where they went like with like all black pages with white text, but like red and
You
white
lean
line
into it.
art of like these really grim, gruesome, like monstrous things.
Yeah.
And that was kind of like what attracted to us to that project anyways. Just like the art was just so striking and dynamic. And I feel like Vast Grimm has that. How this game plays, they're like, look, the rules, it's rules light, art heavy, right? They're like, this
Rules
book,
don't matter.
Just have a good time.
they're like, roll a
That's
d20,
code
here's
for
a
we don't-
modifier, that's it. And everything else takes care of itself. But basically, you're just playing in this extremely gritty, grim sci-fi
Just
world
seems fun.
that is on the brink of destruction, flying junkers around, being boarded by space pirates, crazy alien type scenarios, space marines, like just derelict space stations that you're discovering. Like, this is the vibe that you're getting from Vast Grimm, and I'm kind of here for it. They also are really, really featuring these Grim Wars, which are basically magnetic dice
I
boxes.
love them.
Yes.
So
So
love
they're
it.
holographic magnetic grimoires, but they're boxes to hold your dice, and they have these really cool
Holographic.
like custom dice sets that I really like. The colors are very striking. Everything about this kind of gives
Are
me
they
a
in a
headache a
book?
little bit. I just turned
I like the shiny.
yeah.
Yeah.
Anything that's holographic, I jump at.
I'm telling you, like, I just turned 32. This page kind of gives me a headache. I kind of feel like I need to take some Tylenol after looking at it.
It looks like my wall.
Yeah, it's a lot to take in. It's a lot to digest, but I'm kind of here for it, and I'm kind of excited about it. And I just love the fact that there's just like this gritty, grim RPG where basically they're just like punk rock, heavy metal, hell
Yeah, I'm a
yeah,
fan. I think it's super fun.
Machines.
like yeah, machines and
I hear the
fucking
machine.
big swerve.
Tiger
like-
laser eyes.
Yeah.
Ah.
So
Ah!
I'm kind of all for this product. All right. Now let's talk a little bit about the price structure here. But first, Hannah, Alex, give me your thoughts. Give me real quick. What do you guys think? Do you guys want an RPG book with tigers with laser eyes?
Here's the thing.
No.
Here, do I want it? Am I jumping out the door to like grab this right now? Probably not. But would I still love to play it a night with my friends, have it in front of me, like, guys, we got this, and this just looks super fun. Like, absolutely. Let's break it out. It's exactly what I think it's meant to be. I don't think, and again, they didn't put that much time into the rules. They didn't put much time into that. It's more about being exactly what it is. Super fun, lasers in space with loud punk rock, crazy holographic stuff. That's what it is. And from a brand and marketing standpoint, it's the same thing that we've talked about a few times with these types of projects. If you do not go all out with this type of thing, like, think about the people that would make this type of game, right? They're not going to go crazy deep into it. They're going to look at this like, let's make this look the craziest we can. How do you play it? I don't know, but it looks so fun. Like, it's just screaming all the time. And that's this whole thing does that to a T. You believe every part of it.
Well, Hannah, go ahead.
Well, I just, you're surviving, but I don't know from what.
I
keep
see
going
giant
back
evil
and
space
looking.
worms.
There's space
Well,
worms.
there's space worms. There's Earth animal mutations. How did they mutate? What
They're-
happened?
they're-
I kind of want to know. It was probably
They're-
epic.
In the
I feel like
paragraph,
they should
there-
tell me.
there are some things that do read into that, but there's
I
not a
don't
lot of lore and background here, and they're really selling you on aesthetics. But they do say
Right.
there are like they
They've got me a
describe
little bit.
locations, they describe a little bit of background in the world that you're living in. There's a few,
No.
literally, I'm talking a few sentences about all
Yeah.
Oh,
of this
yeah.
stuff in
Yeah.
there.
They've
But
got me
let
on the shiny.
Let me see if I can. Let me see.
See, I'm a story person, though.
They're basically like, if we think about Game Founder Kickstarter as a store, you're basically walking into the store and being so overloaded and enamored that you're just kind of like hand over your money, walk out with the thing that you just purchased, and don't actually know why
What
you
it
did
is
it.
or why
but,
you did it.
but maybe you won't be disappointed when you get it home, right?
This
Okay,
is me.
don't-
This is for me.
Don't be offended. I feel like this is super bro. You
Oh
know
no,
what I
it's
mean?
pretty
Like,
bro. It literally says
bro.
Mansheen.
Jeez, bro. And I'm just like,
It is.
Okay,
Okay,
I get it.
I
whatever.
I
I'm
feel
sure
like
it's great. The art is pretty cool.
Yeah.
I mean, I was a 90s girl. I can appreciate some good neon, you know what I'm saying? But, whew.
I feel like it has some broness. I don't feel like it's like beer pong type bro, but I feel like it does have. It has.
I would say
a
it's like
very,
it's not beer pong, bro. It's not beer pong,
No.
bro. It's
It-
gamer, bro.
It's
Yeah,
gamer
it-
bro.
it's gamer bro.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's gamer bro.
But I'm kind of a gamer, bro. Sometimes.
Yeah,
Yeah.
sure. And that's cool. Like, I'm not ashamed of gamer bros. I'm just like,
No, there's no shame in here, y'all. No
Well,
shame
I'm not there
here.
for that. I'm
Let
not
me
there
get-
for that.
Let me give you guys a big win on another selling point on this.
Hmm.
PDF,
PDF?
$10.
Okay, that's pretty good.
Hardcover book, $19.
No.
I'm not.
That's not a
even-
code?
I'm not even joking with you.
Well, I'll
If
buy it for
you
that.
want the PDF and the hardcover book and one of the
want the
holographic
shinies.
dice box set,
They sold so many.
$37.
Oh my gosh.
And here's what I back.
Alex is
I
going,
back,
I'm backing right now.
I back this at the devout level, which comes with the hardcover book, all 3 grimoires, and a GM screen for $79.
That's
Are you
cheap.
kidding?
That's cheap.
all
What are they made
3
of? Like a
these.
single piece of paper?
It's
And
just
now-
strategically
No.
folded.
They-
It's strategically folded paper, and then you have to fold it yourself. It comes with instructions. They don't even fold it for you.
and then they also have like a bigger one where they have like a case for all of the dice things to set in. They have enamel pins, they have enamel coins,
Map.
they have maps, they have a neoprene mat to set stuff up on. They have like a whole bunch of things, and that's only $149. So
Oh my god.
Dang.
I'm not going to say that they're giving it away, but this is one of the
Pretty close.
cheapest, best priced RPGs I've seen in a while. And here's the thing, I know art is not cheap.
It's
Mm-mm.
not.
Finding a good artist and having
And that's
someone
so
design
much of it.
something super intentionally is not cheap, and this is designed very well for what they want it to be.
Yeah.
So I'm kind of excited, and I kind
Maybe
of
they were
like
just going the wholesale route. Just make it so cheap everybody buys it, and they
that's
did.
not a bad way to go.
No.
So
I have not seen
honestly-
a hardcover book at that price
No,
on
that's-
Kickstarter.
yeah.
Very low
Ever.
cost.
so
That's crazy.
So what'd you
really
roll it,
like
Joe?
it. Really excited about this. I'm gonna give this a roll. There's so many positives. There are a few negatives. There is a lot going on here, and I am going to give this a 17. And I'm not even gonna go.
Bro.
I was gonna give it like a different score and have a lot of modifiers and have like some detractors, and then but I decided I wasn't gonna get into all that, and I'm just gonna give it a 17, which is where it would have ended up. And it's mostly because this is so specifically designed, and the page is like
It's done well for
good,
what it is.
and I mean the price is great.
Yeah, I can't fault the price. Like,
So this has a lot going for
I
it.
bought
feel-
hotter garbage for $20 for sure.
I bought hotter garbage.
I mean, if you want the same vibe, you can buy some like glittery black fingernail polish and like get like the same aesthetic. But if that's what you're just going for, but if you want an RPG form of glittery
This is the Bill and
black
Ted
fingernail
of
polish,
TTRPGs.
yeah, check it out. Vast Grimm. It might not be your thing, but
Very
it
interesting.
very well could be your thing.
Very interesting. And it could become your thing. You don't know
It could.
until you try.
Yeah.
But
All right, Hannah.
Okay,
what is your
so-
next one?
I'm gonna go with the tiny one that so you had an overload of art. I'm going to underwhelm you with art now. And here, I need you to stick with me on this one because I think this is an excellent concept from a newbie, and I have some things that some suggestions I want to make on here. So this is called Toxic Seas, which is a 5e campaign setting. So this is it's a new setting that has a really cool concept and pretty cool cover art, but it says with breathtaking art, and this is the only art we get, which is a little unfortunate, and it is super cool. But here's why I think this has not reached its goal yet, even though I honestly kind of like the concept here. So we're at 1,500 out of 5,000. We got 49 backers, 18 days to go, still plenty of time here. Maybe make some tweaks to it, but we have Toxic Seas. So the whole idea of this setting is this is a DM who has run this campaign setting that he created for a long time. A lot of us do this. And his setting is basically the idea that this green mist has started to come into the world, and it filled all of the earth except for the mountaintops. And humanity had to move higher and higher to avoid this toxic mist. And now you have these mountain communities that is the last survivors of humanity. And they're connected through airships. So they have airship trades, and each one kind of has its own unique culture because it's been isolated. And there's actually a religion that has risen up because of this mist that is a part of this. Very deep cultural and I think really interesting aspects to the overall world, but there's absolutely no art. When he said it's about breathtaking art. And he specifically says, and here's what I want to talk about, he specifically says art is expensive. Yes, sir, it is. Which is why they're doing a Kickstarter for this, right? This is their first time. And I wanted to talk about this because you may have an awesome idea like this. This is a pretty cool setting, honestly. Overall, the things that you could do with this, the monsters you could create, the bestiaries that could come out of this, super cool concept. However, just because art is expensive is not an excuse not to have any of it on your Kickstarter page, because there's this beautiful thing called Fiverr, and there are unknown artists who will take a chance on something like this if you communicate them and look hard enough, and will make you some cool art for pretty cheap in the promise that they can do more with this project once it funds. So I use Fiverr a lot. That's how I found my 2 artists that I use on all my stuff now. And you can get some pretty darn cheap art just to fill, or at least some concept sketches. Yeah. You don't have to do the absolute complete coloring. You can get some concept sketches as well here. But if you want to know more about this, it's just a read, which I took the time to do, but most people won't. But I'm telling you that this is a really cool concept. And Jeran, I don't know if you're here or not, but I love this concept. I can tell that you poured a ton of time into this, because here are the things that he includes in this. Cultural attitudes, unique foods for both rich and poor. Love that. That is a huge part of culture that we do not focus on enough. Fashion and clothing, relationships to the arts, and much more. This is a very, very much cultural setting to this. But you have to sell it. It doesn't matter if you have a great, great, great idea if you don't sell it in a catchy, flashy way. Now, it doesn't have to be all the flashy that Joe's just was, but we definitely need more than just a single piece of art on the front page here.
Yeah, to bounce off that, Hannah, those are extremely solid points. When you're looking at a page, you get, and we've mentioned this before, you get about 3 scrolls. Yeah. That's pretty much what you get. And it's almost like your elevator pitch on a page. And if I'm looking at this right now, I see a what is this? I see a lot of text, but I don't see anything that's going to grab me immediately. And Jeran, again, I hope you understand that we come from this of we want to see you succeed, and you have about 18 days to go. You have a little bit to your goal here. there are definite ways that if you do decide to relaunch at some point, or if this does succeed, fingers crossed for you, there are a couple things. I think taking a little bit more time before you hit that launch button to take a look, and again, as Hannah said, make sure that you are selling it as much as you can. If you can have any way to have a little bit more art, but also, welcome to the Toxic Seas. This is probably a little long in the beginning. I would say, you have the what is this, and you have the cultural attitudes, unique foods, those kinds of things, I think should probably be moved up. It's a campaign that features this short synopsis, about 1 or 2 sentences, what it features, and just really quick, especially if you're not filling this up with art. Joe, what did you?
And yeah, I'm gonna piggyback on this because again, I don't want to just tear apart this campaign. I think it's a great idea, but I look here at the Y Kickstarter and it says Laura, she's going to do the monsters. Alba is going to do the landscapes and the action scenes. Tiffany is going to do the NPCs and other things, right? And I understand you might not have the money to pay for them to do everything ahead of time, but could you pay for them to do one piece? Could they do one monster, one NPC? Yep. I think a really good comparison to take this page and look at another Kickstarter that did probably where this one would be really excited to be is one that Hannah covered a couple of weeks ago called do you remember Eldritch Sands?
Yes.
Yep. It's very similar because it's a weird very specific campaign setting for 5e.
Yes.
But it had very striking art. But I just went back to the page, and here's the really beautiful thing: 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 pieces of art on the whole page.
Yep.
They had some other graphics and stuff, and they reused the arts in different ways. But only the entire page only had 5 pieces of art, and a lot of them was a character or a thing. It wasn't they only had 2 bigger pieces that were more dynamic and striking, but we spent so much time being man, the art is crazy good, the art's amazing. So if you can find save up a little bit of money and get each of the artists to provide a taste of what you're getting, that was what we had to do for the Wanderer's Guide. There's no way I could have afforded the amount of art that went into the Wanderer's Guide, so I needed to go on Kickstarter, but I needed to get the artists to provide enough art for people to get a taste. And if you look, we didn't have that much art, but we used it as much as we could. We're this is what we've got. Use it as much as we can. And we made GIFs out of it. We made little headers using the different NPCs and stuff. So if you can get just a few pieces, because when you're saying, hey, this campaign has breathtaking art, but you can't show anything, at least give a taste of what we're going to get.
Yes. So go ahead.
Just saying, we are getting a couple of messages here, but one I do want to highlight as context. This is a collaborator on this project. They only have a limited scope of art, so they're sharing that in backer updates. And we completely understand that there are limited scopes here. But at the same time, to get the backers for those backer updates, there are going to be a lot of people who want to see the art up front.
You're not going to get a lot of backers to update if you don't have something for them.
Exactly.
And again, this first time, excellent concept, but if you could have maybe went and gotten a couple of sponsors, a couple of people to pitch in $100 here, $100 there, right?
I'm looking at the updates right now, and some of the art is really good in here. They have a lot of concepts, and they even have in the last one, they have a dragon that was drawn kind of like a flying dragon. It's really good, and it's one of those things where it's
you'd miss it if
all of this art and put it on the page. Don't
trust us. You will get so many more backers if you just do that.
New backers will not go to your updates. They
you can't see them. I just went in. I haven't backed this yet, and I went into updates, and you can't see them. They're for backers only. So there's no way to access that art unless you need to have it on here.
So sorry,
if you want to.
We're dogging it. I feel like we're dogging it.
But
it's in support. It's solely in support. I hope you guys understand that.
Concept.
I want to talk about the price. Talk about some more positive.
Okay.
Put some high notes on this because we've given advice. So let's kind of finish out the review and score it.
Okay. There is an early bird that is still available for $20. You can get the digital PDF copy of this. for just $20, but there's less than 30 of those left. So be looking for that. For the normal price for the PDF copy is $25. If you're looking to get a physical copy, that is, where was it at? It's kind of far down here. I don't see it. Is there a physical copy
Traveler
available?
also want a copy of the book. Preview Discord server. Let's see.
Digital,
here.
your name. There may not be a physical copy available. This may be digital only.
Confirm in the comments for us.
Is this digital only? Because I don't see it. But for $25.20 right now, if you get early, you can have the PDF version of that. A way that a lot of first-time backers get away from those shipping and manufacturing costs is to do that, fulfill through our drive-through RPG, which we've talked about before. You might also consider that because there are some people who only back for like physical copies of things, kind of like me, who don't necessarily like the PDF versions as much, and that's no extra like manufacturing costs for you if you wanted to do
Physical copies are a stretch goal.
Stretch goal for physical. Gotcha. Cool.
That's the thing is there's a lot of people that just aren't going to back because like me, I never back at the PDF level. Never.
Nope. So if you are looking to do your first time Kickstarter, you've got a fantastic idea like this, like honest to goodness, I am in love with this concept and this idea of these toxic seas. It's like Sire and Eberron, but like the whole world. And I think that's really cool. I think you've got some really cool concepts here. What you need to do is you have to have the art in there. You have to show people what they're getting. You have to have more of those monsters, classes, anything that you can show them that is unique and special about what you're doing that other people aren't. Make sure that is in there. And I would suggest always having a physical copy available. So with those suggestions on here, right now as it stands, I would say that this is a 10 on my roll. If we had that cool art that Joe got to see, if we had that in there and we kind of showcased a few things, this could easily be a 15. I think it's a really cool and unique concept and I really like it. But right now it's a 10. And I wanted to highlight this because I think it could be awesome. Yep. It just needs a little TLC.
All right.
Alrighty. So
Alex, I'm so excited for this project for one extremely specific reason.
That's fair, and I'm looking forward to hearing it. So, those of you that do not know, I am obviously designer, but I also do 3D modeling. I love 3D printing. Want to hopefully get into painting miniatures soon. But anytime I see really, really cool miniatures, specifically 3D printable ones, because I can buy them and print them myself, I want to highlight them. So this is the Menagerie. 3D printable miniatures and a 5e adventure book. So it comes with terrains, battle maps, and a compatible adventure, and so much more. So there are tons of things here. Yes.
I love this new thing that we're seeing where we see so many of these like buy my STLs, right? And honestly, it's really boring. Like it's really boring because I don't even put them on the ones on the list of stuff that we see because most of them don't look interesting enough to talk about. But I love this new concept where people are doing an STL, but they're like, oh, and we've made specific battle maps for them. Oh, and we've made this adventure that goes along with the things that you're printing. Love this new idea that people are doing.
Yeah,
cool.
It's really cool. It's by Arcane Hound, Devin and John out of Boulder, Colorado. And this is their first created campaign. I see Jonathan just sent us a heart in the chat. Welcome, Jonathan. Congratulations on the success so far. You still have 22 days to go, and you've already made $22,500 with 466 happy backers. So congratulations on that. So let's take a look. You get Elwood Chronicles The Menagerie, which is a 5e compatible RPG adventure package, which includes 20 plus new monsters, 20 plus new magic items, 20 plus original spells, 100 plus character, creature, and terrain 3D printable STL miniatures, and 30 plus digital and printable battle maps. This has everything you need to just get it and play the whole thing. Like everything. You don't need to kind of piecemeal things together and find this might work with this. This has it all here, and this is super exciting. So let's jump into it here. And first off, let's take a look. Let's take a look at these beautiful miniatures here. The detail, and what I really like is how they have a little bit of cartooniness in them, but still look badass. They have that, like, you got the little mushroom guy, you got this kind of like sludge monster, the giant worm thing in the background. You got a tornado that almost looks like a Sharknado. All of these beautiful maps that are really, really interesting, and some of these are done in the isometric, which is actually really interesting. Not something I've actually seen before. So you have the top-down and the isometric views, but they also highlight something that says more than pretty miniatures. And we didn't want to just share our models. They wanted to share the entire world. And honestly, I would highlight that in like a bit, like I would make that we aren't just models, we're sharing the whole world. That is like your thing right there. And it's super, super interesting. So let's take a look at here. 100% pre-supported. For those of you who are 3D printer enthusiasts, Hannah and Joe, I'm going to go in a little bit of the details on this here. So they're print support free. So you don't need supports on these. You're not going to have to do that. 3D printing in mind. So you're not going to have any of these. I'm going to have to figure out the infill. I'm going to figure out how much density in my supports. No, you're going to be able to just print these 100% right out the box. And same thing with the terrain, support free, print sprayed on resin printers, which is great because that's what I got. And every STL, which is 40 characters, 60 terrain, all unlocked STL stretch goals, all of this. And they even listed the compatible 3D printers or even suggested ones, which is great. That's not something you ever really see, is that they suggest a couple of these different printers. So that's very, very smart. I have the Mono X, which is the one on the top of the list. So let's take a look here at all of these miniatures. We have all of these really, really cool characters. I could honestly just stare at these all day. This giant worm is so cool. The GIFs here are a beautiful way to highlight your page. If you can have GIFs, really highly suggest them, especially with 3D miniatures, because you're going to be able to see all aspects of that from either side. They're 3D, so you want people to see them.
All right.
Joe,
I want to look at the frog real quick.
I was just gonna say it.
I love the ground.
I want to look at the frog real quick.
Because of what?
For the second time on
Don't.
this show, we've got some nice miniature butt cheeks going on.
Got them cheeks.
I love that they gave the frog butt cheeks.
It's got the frog cake.
You're not gonna say anything about the saggy boobs?
No, I'm
the
only
sludgy,
here.
slaggy boobs?
No, I really,
sag boobs. Yes.
I'm really just excited of like when we can spot butt cheeks on this.
Joe's butt guy.
But
yeah,
Joe's butt guy apparently.
Well, I like when like we can see these like 3D rotating models, and it's just like, oh, there's the demon's cake. Like,
But
right
the
there.
demon's cake. Oh my God, that is some form of item. That is some form of item. The demon's cake.
Demon's cake.
So somebody write that down. Take that.
No,
we don't
I
care.
don't want it. I don't
but
want it.
But what I think is actually really smart here, especially with the 3D models, is this more to come. These highlights.
It reminds me of Pokemon. The name that.
Who's that?
Pokemon.
You should see the sand hag's butt cheeks.
Hold on.
No.
The demon's cake was the name of my high school metal band.
No, it wasn't. Oh my God. But they're saying in the comments, you should see the sand hag's butt cheeks, Devin.
Where?
Apparently, is that a not yet released? But all of these highlights, these silhouettes look
tease me with the
so
butt cheeks.
cool.
Come on.
I mean, I'm solely just sold on this just from the silhouettes and knowing I want to see them.
And I'm just scrolling down towards the bottom of the page, and it gets so art.
Beautiful terrain. Yeah. It's gorgeous. I think this is really well laid out. Support free. Beautifully designed page. There are even some examples of already printed. You might have gone very heavy in the STLs and might have buried the book a little bit because that's a lot of scrolls there. But honestly, I really feel like I continuously wanted to scroll because I wanted to see all the miniatures. So there could be a negative in the fact that might not everyone want to go through, but your book is also beautiful. Yeah. The art is gorgeous. The layout looks great. You even have this PDF here. So honestly, guys,
Alex in love.
I'm in love. I'm smitten.
Oh.
I'm just.
in
With the
love.
grunge
Devin
butt
said
cheek.
they can show us the sandhag's
I
butt
don't,
cheeks.
I think we need to see the
Wait.
cake.
Do we gotta see the sandhag cake? I don't know. Maybe message us on Facebook. We'd be happy to see it.
Heck yeah. We'd be happy.
But this looks great. I mean, they have the description of the setting, Braithport, all of this kind of stuff that really just makes a really special page. All of these kinds of things, and I'm almost overwhelmed, but I think it's a good type of overwhelmed. I could go on and on of all of these really different locations that they have in the Menagerie. It's guys, you've clearly put so much work into this. It
This
shows.
is like a slow clap.
But
This is
I'm
good.
I'm you know what though? There's got to be a negative. So tell me about the price. Maybe they screwed up the pricing.
So let's take a look. So the book itself, PDF, $25.
Okay.
Pretty solid.
Yeah.
You can do the
Standard.
print on demand. That'll be at cost, estimated $35 plus shipping. So they actually even put an estimated 30 total amount there. They did even say, note, the physical book is not included in the price of this tier. You have the ability to buy it through cost at Drive-Thru-RPG, which is what we already
Thank you.
talked about. Miniatures, just the miniatures, $25.
100
100 STL
That's insane.
files.
Which- Alex,
$25.
Oh, I
guesstimate how much money of material would you need to spend to 3D print 100 models?
Well, they're small, so probably a couple bucks each. Maybe about $1. The bigger ones could cost maybe upwards of $6 to $8.
Yeah, so I don't do 3D printing. So probably if you wanted to like 3D print
Resin's
all
more
of these, because I'm just actually curious, like maybe I would need to spend like $300 maybe to like print all
Print
of these
everything
100
potentially.
Okay, and how much time would that take me to print them?
Well, let's use a resin printer. What I use as kind of a what's it called? Standard or whatever.
Yeah, sure.
Let's go from that.
Baseline.
So a baseline. Thank you.
You're
You
welcome.
can essentially take all of the models, angle them on a side, and put them all on the build plate and print about 4 at a time if you have enough room. The more you angle them flat, the less time it takes. So it has nothing to do with it's all about how you kind of angle them. It also depends on if you add more infill, if you make the walls thicker. So technically, I can make these solid or thin and reduce the time. Honestly, I could probably print 4 miniatures about this big in a couple hours, 3 to 4, with a resin printer. So honestly, this is a really, really great deal. Oh my gosh, Devin sent it
Where?
on Facebook, y'all. We're gonna take a look here. Devin, we won't share it. I'll go ahead and
Did you see it? Where's it?
I'm gonna go send it to our group here. You'll see our reaction. We won't share it, but we're gonna see some sandhag
I'm
cake
so happy
here.
right now.
And
I'm so happy.
here we go, y'all. I'm gonna send it to our little Facebook group. And there you are. I present to you the cheeks.
I'm not gonna lie. I had to go into
I'm
the.
so jealous.
Oh my god, amazing. Thank you for sending
Like a
that.
loaf of
I had to
pickle.
go into the locker room at the gym the other day to use the bathroom, and
Did you see that? Did you see
I'm pretty sure I've met that guy.
Oh my
Oh my god.
The detail.
Let's keep looking through
The
here.
detail.
Guys.
No, guys. Did you see the stretch goals? Did you see the
Well,
stretch goals though?
I will. Just give me a second because
no.
where's the
I'm so excited.
there's so
Did
many
they
things here.
unlock? You know how they unlock? Did you see that?
Every stretch goal is unlocked by a roll of a dice. When a stretch goal is hit, we roll a d20. That's really cool.
That's really cool.
That's really fun. You know what you should do is you should
Fun.
if
It's
you
like a whole
don't
game.
if you don't do this, I suggest it. Record them.
They don't.
Record them in your updates.
Yeah.
Record you rolling the dice
Yeah, that would be cool.
in the update
That'd
and
be
say,
really
this
cool.
is our next one.
That
Do
would
that
be
moving
huge
forward.
For engagement. I can just tell you right
Do that
now,
moving
I'd watch
forward.
every one of those. I'd watch every one of those.
There's your free marketing
That's so
idea
fun.
for you. Include you rolling the dice and be like, thank you so much. Just have a good time, roll the dice, and get hype everyone up. I think that'd be a lot of fun. But
And share that on Twitter, Facebook.
Share that.
everywhere.
All that.
Yeah,
that's
each
great
one of those
content.
reveals. Oh, yeah.
Earlier bird
That's such a good
special.
idea. I've never seen that. So good. Okay.
PDF of the campaign, all the STLs, physical book at cost, your name printed in the special thanks section, 30 plus PDF JPEG battle maps.
Whoa.
$40.
No.
$40.
So, but granted, everything in this pledge is non-physical because you have to buy the book from Drive Thru RPG. But that's an amazing value to get just a bunch of content for $40.
Yeah.
There's only 2 left.
Yeah, they have the Menagerie for $49. Then we got the $99 collector's edition. Oh my gosh, guys, there's so much here. I'm super impressed, y'all. There's also the same.
We're all quiet, just looking at stuff. Like that's how you know
you
it's
did a
good.
great job, guys.
We're just like,
I
All right,
think
Alex.
flying platforms.
Yeah,
I think
Alex, go ahead and give this a score because you're drooling a little bit.
guys, I think this is great. I think so much work has gone into this. Creators are super engaged with us right now. I think that's extremely important that you stay engaged. Stay, whatever's talking about your brand, whatever's talking about your game, stay engaged. Go all out. Have a good time. And you can tell that these guys are having a great time and have put a ton of work into this. And you know what? You deserve it. I'm giving you the Nat 20.
Yep, for them butt cheeks.
You are my Nat 20 of the night, guys. This is everything.
You are my Nat 20. I want that.
You are
on
my
a
Nat 20.
Valentine.
I'm sending you my Valentine card. You are my Nat 20. Guys,
Aw.
great
You are
project.
in love.
Doesn't happen
I'm in
very
love.
often. Well done.
Great job. This is incredible. Keep doing what you're doing. I wish you the most success. Great job.
Making them butt cheeks.
Making them gorgeous saggy butt cheeks. All right. We are going to take again really quick. That was the Menagerie. Check that out. Those are our next 3 projects. We're going to take another quick break and hear about another little project that's near and dear to our hearts. We'll be back.
The Wanderer's Guide is a 50-page compendium designed to enhance your fantasy RPG campaigns. Immersive, beautiful maps and artwork by Andrew Bosley. Dry erase pages for quick editing and changes as your campaign evolves. An abundance of tokens to add more character, landmarks, features, and customization to your campaign. An interactive NPC system for adding lots of variety and plot hooks for the Game Master to engage the players. Artwork featuring fun details and story elements to enhance collaborative storytelling, world building, and spark the imagination of the players and the Game Master. The Wanderer's Guide. Your world, your adventure.
Still looking at butt cheeks.
Hey everybody!
Still am. It's
Hey
amazing.
everybody! Hannah's got her own thing going on.
Yeah.
But make sure to
We rate
follow us. I have another project I need to talk about. I'm getting into the mindset, and 1, 2, 3, go. Stargazer's Guide to Auroria, a campaign setting for 5e that brings a robust Zodiac character creation system, new races, subclasses, and a grand world to explore. So here we have yet another, and I don't mean to be derogatory when I say that, but it's another campaign setting for 5e D&D, right? Again, a lot of these things, if you want to think of them as a toolbox, if you want to think of them as I want to run this as my campaign setting, feel free to. There's a lot of room to explore, but I don't think that you need to be pigeonholed by saying like, this is one particular thing. I think you can basically break this book apart and use ideas from it if you want to as well. But here's what you're getting. Welcome to Aroria, where destinies are written in the stars. This is the first project by Ink and Lear, which great name, by the way,
Liar.
like great company.
Liar.
Sorry, Ink and
Even
Liar.
that is-
Yeah. It's one of those words I've never heard said out loud. I've only ever read it on a page.
Yes,
So.
I do that a lot.
Yeah. So Ink and Liar, thank you for the correction there.
Yep.
This is their very first project, but also great name and great logo for the company too. They have 484 backers, $26,000 raised. I believe this launched today.
Wow.
To the day of our recording. So
long time ago, yeah.
Good job, guys. Good job. But what is this? This is a campaign setting for the world of Auroria. But rewind, the main focus of this book is building a D&D narrative that is built out of character creation and world building and plot building that is all based upon zodiac signs. So there is a zodiac character build system. Create unique characters, builds using our zodiac character build system. Gain special powers, flaws, bonds pertaining to your sign. Make your characters unique with our ruler tables, air tables, and more. So basically you have this zodiac chart that you're using during character creation, which is going to basically set you up for what your character wants to accomplish and how they gain their levels and all of these different things. And it's a really interesting thing because I know a lot of people really like that.
Interesting.
I want these Zodiac characters as posters.
The artwork is fantastic.
It's
Absolutely.
fantastic.
Oh my god.
Oh yeah.
Other things that you're getting is you're getting 12 subclasses, 3 races, 23 locations. Standard stuff here. Again, I wish there was a little bit more about like, hey, here's a list of them, right? Like you're telling me, but like give me the list if you've already created them. I'd love to know and see what those options are. We've got new monsters, we've got NPCs, we've got really cool things. They're really trying to flesh out this world. They do say that this campaign book will be over 250 pages. So you're gonna get a pretty dense book, but a lot of it is dedicated to this zodiac character creation system, the background and lore of the world. You've got monsters, you've got NPCs, you've got a lot of stuff that you're putting in here. So a little bit of everything, kind of a one book, you can run this campaign out of it. I really like the way it's laid out. It's very clear. It's very easy to see. I watched the video. It had a bit more information on it, but there's not like a lot about like, hey, if you want to learn more about the Zodiac system, check this out. I didn't see anything that was very specific about that, but that's kind of what the main crux of this is. The artwork is fantastic. I would be very curious, but it seems to me like this is another really cool, well thought out, good artwork campaign setting, but it's using this like crux of like, do you want to play a system in which the zodiac signs that your characters are born with has a very big impact on their role in the world that they're playing in?
So Ink and Liar is here in the comments.
All right.
So welcome, and they have suggested that we can actually download the preview, which I actually already have pulled up, and they do have a preview for us.
Okay. So I see the sample now. I actually just read that as a banner, but yeah. So we've got this page again. The artwork in here is fantastic.
Gorgeous.
Wow, I love this.
So
I love this
cool.
perspective shot of like the two people standing on this mountain. Absolutely gorgeous.
I also think the layout's great. I love the colors. I love the typefaces. Everything is super. Everything is just super consistent. I think this is looking really, really good. And at this point, I think a lot of people would click on this sample and back. You might even want to bump this up in the page. I don't know if you can, but
it took me a while to find it, which is unfortunate because it's really good.
yeah, the preview's really good.
Really good.
This is interesting. I need to look at something, but no, yeah, the preview looks good, and it gives you a little bit more background into like some of the NPCs, a little bit of the monsters, but it also gives you a look at some of the different zodiacs that you can look at. I think is really fantastic and really good. this is something that I think is very interesting. I'd love to hear a little bit more. Alex and Hannah, what do you guys think about this idea and concept of using zodiac signs to kind of predetermine what the role of a character is going to be in the world that you're playing in?
Go ahead.
we both started. I think it is a very interesting concept that we haven't necessarily seen in D&D. We have seen it in other areas, like there's some animes that have a lot that focus on that a lot, but culturally I think the US has moved more away from that than like historically. Zodiacs were a big thing historically speaking, so it's kind of a cool move back to it in a way. And this idea that you choose when your character is born, and based on that sign is how they get a lot of their power. And it's
almost like Avatar.
Concept.
It's almost like Avatar, but with Zodiac. And I think it's very. I was actually just watching. Side note, if you've ever haven't watched the show or the Orville.
I swear, if you found butt cheeks.
No.
Okay.
I found something really funny though.
Okay.
I'm gonna finish my thought really quick.
Okay.
There was this whole episode of the show, The Orville. It's a Seth MacFarlane show, but it's essentially like what Star Trek should be. It's really, really, really good. As its own, like it is almost like a expansion on the original Star Trek series. I love it, but I did just watch an episode where they visited a planet that essentially was guided by the Zodiac. And it was a super interesting story, but it also faced a lot of like maybe something I would explore about this is like, if you use this as a little bit of a homebrew, or is there a discrimination of some other Zodiac signs? Do certain Zodiac signs not get along?
Basket.
There's a lot of things.
It's like an anime soap opera, Fruits Basket. I don't know if you've seen it or not, but that's exactly what it is. It's based on the Zodiacs, and some of them are discriminated against.
But this is really cool.
Yeah. So that's a cool concept. And also the idea of breaking out of that system and doing something that is not based on your Zodiac would be cool.
This blows my mind. Funny. But on page number 21 of the preview for this project, there's a picture of like these people walking in with like a festival going on kind of a thing, right? Alex, you see that?
Yep.
That exact same picture is on the Menagerie Kickstarter page.
It's temporary art is what it
temporary,
says.
Yeah.
So it's just like free
So
domain,
it looks like it's just like a stock probably.
Okay.
Temporary art,
I just thought that was really funny because I was like, I've seen this picture, and it was like literally
artists just screwed people over. No,
temporary art.
Okay, so like
that's funny.
That makes me feel weird about that, but no, they have lots of good custom art that they are.
Oh yeah, for sure. They're just not done yet, which is
it's filler.
Totally understandable.
I think filler's
smart.
They
give us enough, though. They give us enough.
I also kind of feel like for RPGs, we're seeing a lot more. You're hiding some of your best stuff in your preview, and I feel like there's a little bit more that you can like build out. Like if you have the potential to build a GIF that like shoots through all of these different Zodiacs where you can like see them cycling through.
And not all of them are done yet, but even just the ones that you have would be super cool because they are really cool.
The Frostwind manifestation.
I would love to see something like that. I think that that's really interesting. But I'm going to talk a little bit about the pricing structure here because I think that there's some interesting stuff that we really haven't seen before, which is going to be fun to talk about. But like normal, $20 if you want the PDF. But these are early bird pricing, so I don't really want to give those to you. $25 for the PDF, and which you can still get on the early bird. So if you go, you might get a discount. Okay. But $25 for the PDF, and then if you want the hardback, it's $55. So pretty standard pricing there. You do get the PDF if you get the hardback, so there isn't an additional cost to get both if you want those. They do have an additional jump from 55 to 130, where you're going to get some stickers. You're going to get a really cool dice vault. You're going to get a lunar enamel pin. Now this is where This is where I kind of $260, so double that. And here's what you're gonna get. You're gonna get a dice tray, which is really cool.
It's really pretty.
You're also going to get a t-shirt and a pair of socks.
I'm seeing this right now.
For it.
That's interesting.
I like socks.
I'm not into it at all.
I'm a sock person.
I'm glad.
That's what I've gotten for Christmas for years is different novelty socks. I love it.
And Alex, Zodiac posters is on the next one. So if you want a huge $450, they have a poster, they have a GM screen.
The
GM
screen is
made entirely out of
wood.
And it's cool. Yeah.
So it
Please
looks
tell me
like
you have
these are
these
more
as
like
add-ons.
custom made type of stuff. And I'm curious if they've limited these. And I think that they have. Yeah, they're limiting that to only 25 backers.
Yeah.
So they're not going to make a ton of these. Honestly, if it works for you, cool. I'm not into the t-shirt and socks. It's just not my bag. I don't really want to get like a t-shirt and socks from a Kickstarter for an RPG that I backed, I guess. Like that's just a me thing. But if some people are into it, then
Expand
hey, I'm
the
not
brand.
gonna try to I'm not gonna try to like take away anything from people trying that kind of an idea. It's just not my thing or something that I would like personally find value in. But I think that the rest of the pricing here makes a lot of sense. $25 for the PDF, $55 if you want the hardback. They're not doing the drive-through RPG thing, it doesn't look like, so you are going to just get that, which is nice. But this product looks beautiful. The idea is well thought out. The concept is kind of unique and original. The setting looks nice. I know I could go in and read, the 50 plus pages of stuff that's in the preview. I'm really not going to do that. I'd rather have that information condensed a little bit more and on the page, easier for me to understand what is this world? What are these zodiacs? How do I build it? Because I'm just not going to watch. I'm not going to read 50 pages of content to figure out if I want to back this product. I want to back it for $55. So I'm not 100% sold that oh man, I'm in, I need to jump in on this. But I do think it's a really cool idea. And I think if the idea of having kind of like a destiny for your character and making the Zodiac a big part of the campaign that you're playing with, which I'm not going to lie is really cool, because as a DM, something that I work so hard to do is incorporate my character's backstory into the game that we're playing. So instead of
built-in way to do that,
instead of just doing random side quests, I try to figure out, okay, what are my characters backgrounds and what do they want, and I try to make those kind of the side quests from the main plot, and that works really well. And I know that we went through this huge story arc where one of the characters rescued her brother from an imprisonment type of situation, and it was a really long arc, and it was very emotional, and there was really tense moments, and it was really just a great moment. And actually right now we're currently engaged in some stuff with Alex's character, which is also really fun to build, but it takes a lot of work for me as a DM to build all of that with whatever the character's created. So it's kind of nice that you can use this Zodiac as
it's like a roadmap.
On how to do that, and just build this Zodiac god concept into how we honestly, if you need a Deus Ex Machina, the Zodiac god for that character can save the day if you need it to happen. It's not a bad way to go. So all of that being said,
what would you roll?
I am going to roll this a 16. Okay, plain and simple, nice high roll for this, because I think that the art's good. I think the page could tell me a little bit more concisely. I think that that's one thing that I just I wish I could learn more about the world with a few pictures and a few just blurbs, and I wish I could learn a little bit more about the Zodiac system really quickly just by looking at the page. Other than that, I don't really have any negative criticisms. I think it's a really cool project.
Side note,
16.
Just from the art on these different Zodiacs, it already gives me an idea of what the personality traits might be for a person born into that Zodiac. Which I think is a really cool thing to include in your art. The difference between the peaceful, koi in the sky versus this wrathful ram, destroying things. That's pretty cool. That's pretty cool, Joe. That's a pretty good one.
Weirdly, I actually might rank this higher if it was a 100-page book about Zodiac character creation. That and that was it. Like you gave them,
That was
like
it.
you gave these like god pantheons how to create these characters,
Dude.
what it meant, and you left out the campaign stuff. And I'm not faulting them for including it, but I'm saying like for me personally, I'd be like, oh cool, I'd back that. But
Yeah.
for some reason, the campaign setting makes me like be like, oh, this is like its own thing. But again, you
I
can
wonder
just
if they could
rip
split
out,
that off at some
yeah.
point too, and
You
just
can
do like a
rip,
pantheon.
You can just
Yeah,
rip
just
it
rip
out
that
if you
out.
want, yeah.
And be
So-
like, hey, if you don't want the full setting, get this for like $10 or whatever.
Very true.
Stargazer's Guide to Auroria.
Beautiful.
Very
Beautiful.
All
All right. My turn. I'm doing Animal Adventures, The Faraway Sea, and I am incredibly excited about this one. This is everything that I feel like a Kickstarter should be on this page. It's incredible. They have blown their goal out of the water, and
Yes,
it
they
just
have.
keeps going up. I mean, just a little bit ago, it was at 200,000. Now we're at 313,000. Like crazy good. Over 3,000 backers. Only 9 days left to go. This was not a super long one, and if you're interested in this, I highly suggest jumping over there now. So first thing I want to say here is the creators of this have already created some really cool stuff. On my YouTube channel, Halfling Hobbies, I did kind of like different types of D&D that you should try, and one of those was anthropomorphic, which I took some of the Kickstarters that we talked about here that I thought were really good. And I had lots of people on my channel tell me, you need to try Dungeons and Doggies or Cats and Catacombs. And this is the same people who did that. Also, the Mystery of Gullick Cove. These are the same people. They've just come out with a brand new one, but this is an anthropomorphic fantasy adventure, meaning you get to play as animals, which is all
Yes.
any of us have ever wanted. This is Redwall RPG, and I am so down for it. But if that wasn't enough, this has the coolest setting idea ever. So the overall idea of this setting, Faraway Seas, is that in these faraway seas, there's this thing called a rift. And this rift creates islands randomly. It could be a few weeks between islands, or it could be months between islands. But these islands appear and then randomly disappear, taking all of their inhabitants with them. And so only the most daring and intrepid of adventurers go to explore these brand new islands and see what treasures that they can find before they disappear back into the rift. Which is just a really cool setting, and I really like it. So you get a little bit of seafaring in there, you get the exploration, you get the mystery. What is the rift? Is that what happens if you go into the rift? Because I know my players would be the dumb ones to stay on the island just to figure out what's in the rift. You know what I'm saying? And so if you go down here, first of all, they have some adorable... What?
Baby Kraken.
Baby Kraken! First of all, they got some really stinking adorable STL files, like this little baby Kraken, who even though he's tiny will still destroy your ship, because that's what Krakens do. Look at him with this little knife, like he's just
so
gonna
cute.
stab ya. So cute.
cute.
He's so cute. But also along with this, we've got new species of animals that you can
Gorgeous
become
miniatures.
and explore as. You got albatross, classic sea stuff. You got alpaca. Here's the thing about these guys. Here's the thing. Every time I read one of these, I'm like, ooh, that's what I want to play. And then I keep going because
play
there's a
all of
fox,
them.
there's a goat, there's a koala,
The
there's
orangutan
an
looks cool.
orangutan, there's an otter, and a pig, and a rabbit, and a red panda.
This is
And
so
I
cool.
want to play as all of them. And I'm super excited. And then you have new classes like the Watcher, who they made, guys, they made a dog the Witcher. Look at him.
Oh my god, it's the...
Look at him. That's the Witcher. It's a Witcher Watcher dog. I am so happy. And he fights evils in darkness, and you should toss your Watcher a treat because he's a good boy. And he defeats the darkness.
Ooh, I
Yeah.
love the orangutan.
Isn't it
That's my
great?
favorite one. The Tinker Mage
Look
is
at
my
that.
favorite.
You can do a Tinker Mage, which is super cool. So you've got these different inventions that you can
No,
do.
My favorite is the Kickstarter exclusive, the baby Kraken.
That's what we were talking about, the baby Kraken.
baby with the little stabby stabs. It's so cute.
Well, this is adorable.
So this is adorable. This is also a super cool concept that you could get as weird with as you want to, which is awesome. New classes that make you go, ooh, new like STL and animal races that you can play. The art is both fun and whimsical and cool and adventurous all at the same time. It makes you just want to keep scrolling. It gives you all the information you want right up front. I am not confused about what I'm getting on here one bit.
Really
I know
well done.
exactly what it is. It is so well done. It even shows you how to create an adventure within this world, which I think is really great. And then your pledge levels. I love it when pledge levels have these really pretty, concise things to help you understand what they are too.
Yes.
So PDF, $10. $10 for a PDF, which is incredibly wonderful, great. I love it. $35 is going to get you a hardcover campaign guide.
Solid.
10 battle maps and a digital PDF of the campaign guide for $35. And I just want to double check that it's not a code for RPG, and it's not. It looks like
there
you're
you go.
actually getting the hardcover physical book for $35.
Yeah. I mean, with this much money,
Amazing.
This is a mass manufactured product.
I love it. And then 55 is when you start getting your minis. So if you want them to print your minis for you, you can get 11 animal minis, dogs and cats, which is super cool. So I personally would highly recommend the, oh my gosh, there's so much more. Look at this stuff. Sorry, I just keep getting distracted because it's a really, really good page. But I would highly suggest the $35 for a hardcover and the maps. I think that is an excellent deal for this, and it's really, really cool.
Honestly, I'm taking a look at that $75 one.
Yeah,
For the minis?
that's where I.
all
Well,
in?
no, it's you get the digital PDF and hardcover and battle maps and all the minis. So yeah, it's $75 for all of that.
That's actually really good.
That's a
I didn't
really
realize you
good
got all of them.
deal. That's a
And
really good
Animals,
deal.
Not
dogs,
that
cats,
bad, 'cause
raiders.
You get all of that for 120. You get all of that plus the walruses,
Yeah.
plus the Raiders of the Lost Cove, which kind of look
GM
like a bear,
screen.
some raccoons, a GM screen, and a cool set of dice.
Yeah, no, there's a lot of good options here, guys. Depending on your budget, there's a lot of good options
great
here.
options.
Which I love it when you're looking at something and you're just like, these are all really good
The all-in is
options for
great.
things. This is great. So I think overall this is just really, really, really
Very
great.
smart.
If you haven't tried their earlier stuff, I've been told that it is excellent, and you should totally give it a try out as well. But they know what they're doing. They've done this before. This is their bread and butter, and I feel like this is going to be a fantastic campaign at a great price. I absolutely love it. This one,
Yeah, what you rolling this
really
one?
wanted to give it a 20.
Why
I
not?
really did. I don't know.
Give me one good reason why not.
I can't. No, this is my 20.
Hey, we
This
got
is my
2 in an
20.
episode.
I haven't done that in a long time. But yeah, I love the way this is set up. I love everything
I
about
love
it.
it.
I love the concept. I love it. Natural 20. Love it.
I think that's great.
I'm also, by the way, retconning my roll for Ouroboros Coils of the Serpent RPG
Yeah.
to a nat 20. I
Yeah.
realized why didn't I give that one?
Why
a nat
didn't I?
20?
Yeah.
Well, that
it's
was like
this
3
is-
episodes ago, dude.
Whoever out there is
Yeah.
maintaining the roll for review Wikipedia, go ahead and retcon that.
All right, so we're on our last project of the night, and our avid watchers who've returned may know I'm the resident
Poor
dice goblin.
souls.
Those of you new, I'm the resident dice goblin. I love dice, love seeing unique dice. I love all that. This one is a little different because you may think about it immediately and go, well, okay, well, it's a cute idea. I like it. It is what it is. Bear jumbo dice. Now, you look at these. They've raised $10,000.
Really?
287 backers. And this is where I think they did. And again, you look at these and you see teddy bears and dice. That's all it could have been. That's all it could have been. They would have been fine. Or they probably, to be quite honest, if they didn't do this, I don't think they would have made as much. And I want to open this discussion here. What they did is instead of just making it a teddy bear and a dice, buy some teddy bear dice. They've created this little character that is in association with this teddy bear. They've added a little bit of a brand to this that is really cute, and they've expanded that. On top of, you have the bear paws for the dice, you have the extra large die, you have all the different colors of green, red, brown, navy blue, clear. But then you have the little keychain of the character.
That's actually kind of cute.
You have the pin. You have the dice bag, which is adorable.
Yep.
I think by adding this character, you've added a new level to your project. And I think that's very smart. I think you've immediately added a little bit of an extra level that makes people want to back it a little bit more.
It's a mascot.
It's a mascot.
Yeah,
It's a simple
nice
change
mascot.
that instead on Kickstarter of just saying, I just want to make teddy bear dice, here's what happens. Making it a little bit unique to you, make a little bit of a mess, make something that people can get behind and go, I see this little bear, I want to support this little bear. I'm going to get the dice made.
If there was no mascot and this was just
dice
with bears inside of it, this might have not gotten...
Did you look at the bear paw one where
Yes.
you get to see it from above? It's kind of terrifying.
I would also
Really
just
creepy.
say in general, you've got this really cute bear and you look on all the banner images, that bear is like there with it. I think that should be on the banner image so that people see that
Yes,
mascot when they're
I
looking.
would agree.
So like
Yeah.
on your picture where it says like bear dice and you show the pictures, I think you should try to find a good place for that mascot too, because it really does kind of draw people in.
I agree.
Mhm.
But here's also a really great draw. $19 for the whole set.
It's cheap.
I'm looking for this top-down thing that
It's
It's the second one.
it's bear paws. It's under the
Bear
green
paws.
dice.
It's a top-down view,
can
and
just
it's
see the eyes.
terrifying. It's terrifying. It's all
But this
distorted
is-
as if they ground up a teddy bear and
But-
then put it in the dice.
I think this is just a smart way to
That's a very
take your
different
page,
product.
level it up a little bit, add a little bit of flair to it, create a character, and you got something that probably added you a good amount of backers. Always take a look and see how you can increase.
It's smart branding.
It's smart branding. It's ways to really increase the appeal of your product. And that's why I really wanted to highlight that. So I'm going to roll these. Obviously.
Wait, we all have to choose our favorite.
Okay, let's choose your favorite.
Clear.
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 I like the bear paws, man.
Clear with
I
bear
like-
paws.
I like the ground up bear in a
Clear with bear
glass
paws.
jar. He just looks
Um,
like he's pleading for help.
It very
Mhm.
does sometimes look like
Eyes.
they're like very distorted.
They do.
Yeah.
But
I
that is
just-
what it is.
I don't. I want to know like the process of being like, oh, let's put teddy bears inside.
Why
of
not?
ducks. Like, no, like,
I've
Saw
seen
the ones
worse.
That had ducks. You remember
yeah,
the
like
ducks?
I get it that it's like a why not,
It's a
but it's
thing.
also just kind of like it makes me laugh because
We
I'm
were
like,
so busy wondering if we could. We never
wonder
asked
if
if
we
we
should.
should.
Well, that being said, I am going to give this a roll. I think base roll for this is an 11. It's dice. It's a cute idea, but I'm going to give it a +1 for adding that little touch of the branding. I think
I like the
you
dice
go,
bag.
it is what it is. It's bears and dice, cute. But then they went, oh, you know what? This is really cute. I think that was really smart.
I didn't realize at first it was a stretch goal of 15,000 for the dice bag. I just saw 15,000 dice bag. I was like, ah, that's an expensive dice bag.
$15,000. Well,
All right.
that has been our episode of Roll for Review. Some great games in there. We're going to timestamp those tomorrow. The links to all these projects have been in the description. Joe?
I have a question that we all are going to answer.
Yes.
Question time.
So, all of us play RPGs. Most of us are dungeon masters to some degree. I would like to know what literature or setting or TV show have you drawn a lot of inspiration from when you need to like make something up on the fly? So like when you have something that you're like, oh, I need to come up with like a concept for this really quick, what's your like go-to for like something that like you're kind of creating in your world? Or that has caused the most inspiration for like homebrewing stuff?
It's a really good question. You know what? I'm going to say this because a lot of the time I take inspiration because it's brilliant and I love it, but it's not a TV show or a movie. It's more an overall theming and how smart it is. The board game Everdell. I take a look at a lot of those characters, how there's like a whole village, how all of those characters interact with one another in that game. I think there's a lot there that I've used in the past to kind of take a look at stories and how that's kind of storied together and how I've built little towns. When I play that game, I innately think of how my town runs, right? That's just how I think. I'm putting this town together and I start to make a little story around it. And I think I've just ended up doing that a lot more than I realize. And until just now that I do that, I end up kind of writing a little homebrew story in and of itself as I play that game. So that's going to be my answer. The game Everdell.
Cool.
Mine's a video game. Mine is Skyrim.
Ooh.
I get a lot of inspiration from Skyrim and all the hidden stuff that they do and the lore and finding things in different places. So Skyrim, and then when I run a really creepy one, I get a lot of inspiration from BioShock.
Nice. So I played some video games when I was like younger in middle school, and I actually have revisited them as an adult. But they were called Might and Magic, and in fact, the only good ones were like Might and Magic 6, 7, and 8. Before that, they were like really old video games. So Might and Magic 6, 7, and 8 were like these really you picked a party of 4 characters and you played an RPG, and the world was pretty big. But I actually draw a lot of my inspiration from like the stories and quests and villages and towns that were a part of those games. And I still like when I need to like draw something, I'm like, oh, what happened in that game when I went on that quest? And I will use that as kind of like my inspiration to just like make something up on the fly.
Love it.
You know, is another really good one for like character choices was Fable.
Oh,
I loved Fable because people reacted to you differently based on how dark or light you were or what your reputation was. So that's another one that I think influences a lot too.
Well, that being said, if you have an answer to this question, if you made it to the end of this episode, answer it in the comments. We'd love to hear if you've taken some inspiration from anything and anywhere. But thank you all so much for joining us. This has been Roll for Review, and we will see you next time.
Bye, guys.
Bye.